to Cannabis Health Radio, where we share powerful, real-life stories from people around the world who are using cannabis as medicine. The goal of this podcast is to raise awareness of the healing potential of cannabis and is not intended as medical advice. And now, here's your host, Ian Jessup.
Welcome to the Cannabis Health Radio podcast. I'm Ian Jessup. Before we get to our guests today, I just want to remind listeners that in today's cannabis market, trust is everything, and there are a lot of scammers out there, as you well know. That's why I recommend two companies that consistently deliver quality and results: Swan Apothecary and MyFitLife. Listeners have shared incredible success stories with both, from pain relief to better sleep and improved health. And Robin Swan of Swan Apothecary and Al Morenton of MyFitLife both do consultations. You can contact both of these companies through our website, cannabishealthradio.com. Now, our guest today grew up in a world where alcohol and cigarettes were normalized, and he lived what most would consider a fairly typical lifestyle. But after a series of unexplained health crises, he discovered that his heart was failing. His ejection fraction was down to only 12%, and his doctors told him he would need a mechanical heart pump and eventually a heart transplant to survive. And through it all, he faced judgment from medical professionals, endless prescriptions, and of course the emotional toll of feeling blamed for his condition. But instead of giving up, he turned to cannabis for relief, changed his diet, embraced exercise, and rebuilt his life from the ground up and reclaimed his health. And joining us from Virginia is Kyle Ring. Kyle, when I read your story, I thought, Jesus, this guy's still alive. I can't believe it. It's remarkable. And you, before we went on air, you were telling me that this all happened in 2015. Take us back to that. What did normal look like for you at that time?
I was working full time. Life was great. I had owned my own business. Everything was doing wonderful. And then I got sick that November with what started as a cold that just kept progressing. And I made multiple trips to the different doc-in-a-box places, 2 emergency room visits, and nobody could put a finger on what was wrong with me. As a matter of fact, each visit they gave me fluids, which hindsight was the exact opposite of what I needed. My body was retaining water and they were giving me it.
Well,
so
that's interesting because I would have thought, did you tell them you had chest pains, or did you have chest pains at that time?
I did not have chest pains. It was mostly just breathing issues and just really run down. A walk to the mailbox and back was exhausting. And we actually had some snow come that year, and walking through the snow darn near killed me.
Wow. And how old were you at the time?
I was 36 when I got sick.
36?
Yeah, I was 36.
That's remarkable. So take us through your journey that required you to go to the hospital multiple times.
I was sick. I couldn't put my finger on it. I went to the one, and they were convinced that it was pneumonia. And the doctor took a chest x-ray, and they looked, but they couldn't see anything. So they sent me home and told me just to get some rest. It was the next day I received a phone call, and the nurse that was talking to me was asking me about chest pains and if I was having, what my difficulty level was with my breathing. And I told her I didn't have any chest pains or any of that. That wasn't any part of my symptoms. But she had a lot of concern in her voice about it, and it kind of spooked me a little bit. And so I was kind of more on edge, looking for any new symptoms or even any old ones to pop up. And so about 2 or 3 days after that phone call, I went to the emergency room. I wasn't feeling any better. I was feeling worse, and I drove myself there. And I went in, and they admitted me to for observation.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went back, I sat down on the bed, and the nurse went into the bathroom slash supply closet, and was getting some things. And as she did so, I said, I'm not feeling good. I feel really lightheaded. She said, sit down, lay down, get comfortable. And as I did that, I passed out. When I came to a few minutes later, there were doctors all around my bed.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing, I don't even know what they were doing. And for some reason and somehow, I had my phone in my hand, and I was texting my wife, letting her know what was going on. I don't remember doing this, but looking back through our texts, I'm informing her of what's going on. So it was really kind of strange to see that. But the the wave of whatever I was feeling started to come back again, and so I passed out. At that point, they called my wife to let her know that things weren't looking good. She should probably come in. She was already on her way in, but with the phone call that she received, of course, she was worried. Called my
Mm-hmm.
brother, and he showed up at the hospital. And when I came to, I guess it was maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours later, I was hooked up to a rescue breather. And that's just forcing air into my lungs, and it's very dry. It's it's awful. I understand it was necessary, but it was
Mm-hmm.
awful. It made me thirstier than I've ever been in my entire life. I begged the nurse for water several times, and she said no. And I was starting to get highly upset. And so I got to the point where I was just going to get up and get my own water, and I didn't care what they said. And so she made a deal with me, and it was probably the worst deal I've ever made in my life. She gave me some ice chips, and in return, she got to put a catheter in. So I did not enjoy that very much.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the seriousness of what was happening to me. By that point, the reason that I had passed out was because my body had gone septic and all my organs were shutting down. I was basically dying. My ejection fraction was down below 12%. I believe at one point they said it was down to 8%, which is ridiculously low. I was just barely hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure how long that was before I was stabilized enough that they sent me up to a room, and I spent the night just kind of trying to get my numbers right. They were trying different drugs, trying different things to just get me evened out.
It's
Um,
it's interesting because your story is so unusual for those of us on Cannabis Health Radio because, as I mentioned prior to the interview, we've only interviewed, I think, one other person who dealt with heart issues. And your heart injection fraction was 12%. So I looked that up. It said that 12%, the heart is extremely weak, putting the individual at high risk for life-threatening complications, including sudden cardiac arrest. This low injection fraction leads to symptoms even at rest, such as severe shortness of breath, fatigue, and swelling, which it sounds like you had all of those.
yes, yes. I
And
was very, very swollen. I was retaining a lot of water.
wow, it says the survival rate at that is only about 8%.
Hmm.
You are one lucky guy.
Yeah, I'm very grateful.
Were you overweight at the time?
I was 215, 220. I'm 6 foot tall, so I was bigger, but I wasn't awful.
Yeah.
Um, I thought of myself somewhat healthy at the time, but from where I'm at now, looking back, I was nowhere close.
What do you weigh today?
I am 178, 179.
Wow. So you lost
Uh,
roughly around 50 pounds.
yes, and when this first happened, I actually went down to 165 because they had me on diuretics forever. It was nothing but skin and bones.
So how did the doctors explain your condition to you? And how did their tone or attitude affect you at the time?
They didn't really explain much about the condition. They were trying to figure it out. And when they were trying to figure out everything, they gave me all sorts of paperwork to fill out, and I answered everything honestly. I answered alcohol use. I had cigarette use at the time. I had mostly quit, but I still smoked cigarettes. So I was honest with them about everything. And they jumped right onto the drinking immediately. And they actually told me I had 3 different doctors in the beginning tell me that it was my fault from the drinking, yet they didn't know what it was that was wrong with me.
Well, did they assume you were an alcoholic?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Just for admitting that you consumed alcohol.
Correct.
It's very much like some people who consume cannabis are accused of being drug addicts.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's the stereotype for the cannabis and drug addict I've seen is awful.
Yeah.
And
Now,
it's
what else did they do to advise you of your condition?
when I was first in there, they would not let me leave without a defibrillator. As you said, that your heart can stop is one of the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So they wouldn't let me leave without a defibrillator. So I had that surgery, and then I probably 2 or 3 days later is when they were letting me go home with it's an IV bag that's battery powered that injects the medication through the line, and that line fed directly through my arm into my heart. And they let me go home with that for a week or two to kind of figure out what was happening with me and wrap my head around it. But nobody at this point has told me why I was sick. All they can tell me is that I have some sort of viral heart failure. But that's all they say.
What was your mental attitude at the time? How did you deal with this mentally and emotionally?
I was completely crushed and broken. If it weren't for my wife, I don't know that I would have been able to make it through there. It was an awful time in my life. Everything came crashing around me. Very scary. I latched on to the doctors and what they were saying out of trust, and they were telling me that it was my fault. And that was not a good feeling. But I was doing everything that they wanted me to do. They stopped my smoking, which, like I said, I didn't smoke that much at that time anyway. I'd already stopped. But I quit that. I quit my drinking, and they wanted everything for 6 months before they would list me for the heart transplant. But that's down the road. We're still yeah. So I'm in the hospital. This is in March. And yeah, this is in March when they're sending me home. I had been in the hospital from January or February. I think the last part of February. And then it was March when I got the the direct line to my heart with their medication, and I got sent home to adjust. Then after I adjusted, I told them that I would be in on a Monday morning, and they were completely shocked and surprised when I showed up because I kept putting everything off. They really didn't think I was going to go through with it, but I was scared to death, and I trusted them, and they told me that they told me that was basically my only option. Mm-hmm. That if I wanted to survive, that's what I needed to do, and I believed them, and I did it. So I showed up that Monday morning and shocked them all. And my date that I got my LVAD installed was actually 4/20, if you if you can believe that.
How ironic is that?
Exactly. And that I took that as my sign.
Yeah. So you were on the transplant list, and according to you, the day that you were on the transplant list, you started using cannabis. What led you to try it at that point?
For the time that those 6 months that I had to get my body clean, and uh, they had tried all sorts of drugs to help me with my sleep because I was having insomnia issues.
Hmm.
And the insomnia was caused by all the heart medications that they had me on. Nobody told me that part. Um, so they were causing the issue, and they were trying to give me pills to make up for it. But I think 3 or 4 different prescriptions were tried, and none of them worked. Um, One of them, they actually gave me an antipsychotic in the hopes that the side effect of sleep would help with my insomnia. So
My
that was a little bit
God.
too hardcore for me. Yeah, I
Jesus,
didn't touch
yeah.
that one.
No.
So,
So you started thinking about cannabis?
yeah, I started thinking about it, and then the day that I went active on the heart transplant list, I had gone to do all my stuff at the hospital and taken my drug test,
Hmm.
and a situation presented itself. I figured, why not? And so I went ahead and partook, and I slept better that night than I had slept in such a long time. That was, and I knew then that that's what I needed to help me get through this, because nothing else was working for my sleep.
When you said a situation presented itself, explain what you
Uh,
mean.
I went to somebody's house, and they had it, and they were willing to share. At this point in time, my wife wasn't too thrilled if I was involved in any of that. She didn't get too mad at me, but she didn't like it too much, and so
Yeah.
I didn't really do it up until then.
Yeah. Was it, did you smoke?
Yes, I did smoke it,
Yeah.
um, and that, like I said, I slept way better than I had in a really long time, and so I started that. That started to be my routine, and I would hide it the best you can, but you can't really hide it if you're smoking it because the smell is pretty noticeable.
Yes. So when you started smoking it and you slept better than you had for quite some time, did your wife become more acceptable of it?
Uh, Over a short period of time, yes, she was very open to me trying it if it worked, and seeing that it worked kind of helped her get past her issues with it.
Yeah. So besides sleep, did it help in other areas?
It did. In the very beginning, it was mostly just a sleep and anxiety, and it actually helps me exercise. If I smoke and then I wait a few minutes, because right after you smoke it, it kind of raises your blood pressure a little bit.
Hmm.
So I wait a little bit, just a few minutes, and let that calm itself, and then I do my workout, and it helps tremendously. And it helps with what I call pump pains, where the pump sits inside my chest.
Hmm.
Uh, I could feel it for the first year or two. I could feel it almost all the time, and it hurt. I would chew on ice cubes so that when I could feel that coldness move down inside my chest past that point, it numbed it for a second.
No.
So I went through a ton of ice cubes, and but the cannabis helped a lot with that, and it still does. And I don't have that pump pain anymore, even though it's still there, unless I sleep on it wrong. There's times where I'll sleep on it and it hurts all the next day. And cannabis helped a lot with the pain management for that, and just kind of helping you forget about it, because knowing that this thing is stuck inside your chest, it can kind of send you into a little bit of a panic. At least it did me a few times.
Geez, I can imagine. I mean, the anxiety level of what you're going through at the time must have been. I can't imagine what it was like. Because I mean, you're only 36 years old at the time. You're young. You got your whole life ahead of you, and all of a sudden it comes crashing down, and you think, "Holy shit, am I going to die?"
Hmm.
And so all of that stuff is going through your head every day, constantly. And I think cannabis kind of brought some relief to that
Yes.
cycle that goes through your head.
Yes, absolutely. That anxiety I I mean everything going crashing around me was the worst feeling I've ever experienced,
Yeah.
and to barely make it to get up the stairs. My bedroom was at the top of the stairs, and so to get all the way up to the stairs and have to crawl up the steps, that's terrifying.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. So did the doctors know what you were on?
Um, as far as the cannabis,
Yeah.
no, it took them a while before they found out. I couldn't tell you exactly how long. I would say a good 6 months to a year
Hmm.
before they found out. They just didn't drug test me, and this whole time I was, like I said, once I started, I found out that I liked it, and I kept it going. So this whole time, no, they didn't drug test me. They didn't check, um, and then they did,
And then they found out.
and then they did. Yes, they told me that they checked my urine and they found cannabis, and I said, okay. It's been there for a little while. He said, are you going to stop? Because we cannot have you on the heart transplant list if you're using cannabis. And I said, no, I'm sorry. I can't stop because it's the only thing that helps me with the anxiety and the sleep and everything else. I mean, I tried it their way. I tried their drugs. Well, I didn't try a couple of them, but I
Mm.
tried it their way. Um, and this worked for me. So I had a hard time agreeing to live what very well could be the last part of my life by somebody else's stupid rule.
Yeah.
Um, Not when it helped me as much as it does.
So you were taken off the transplant list?
Yes, they booted me off the transplant list, and
You lucky guy.
yeah, because that's what it took. That's what got me motivated to really do what I've done.
Hmm.
Um, they had me. I was off of it for probably a year, and just trying to still this whole time I'm trying to figure my life out. I'm trying to pick up my pieces and figure out what's going to happen. And I went with it for a little while. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought for a second.
No, that's okay. Now, your injection fraction, did that improve?
My ejection fraction did start to improve pretty much right away. I would say a month or two after the LVAD install, my ejection fraction did pick up. They put me into a cardiac rehab where I was doing exercise bike with a recumbent exercise bike,
Hmm.
and I found that I can tolerate that. I enjoy that. Well, I didn't at the time, but I can tolerate it then. I enjoy it now, um, and that started to make my heart stronger. And I actually had a pulse probably 3 months after the LVAD. I say I had a pulse because the pump is continuously pumping your blood through your heart, and it blows that valve open for most people, and there's no pulse because it's just a continuous flow.
Oh,
And so, like, my party trick for the first little bit was, if there was an EMT around, I'd be like, "Hey, can you come find my pulse?" And they couldn't find it.
wow, I
But
didn't know that. Interesting.
yeah, yeah, it is. But my pulse picked up pretty quickly, meaning that my heart had some strength to it,
Hmm.
and my body seemed pretty receptive to the exercise. But each time I got stronger, they pinned me down with another drug. They did this 3 different times. Um, and each time I told them, this drug is messing with me. One time it rung my bell every time I stood up.
Mm.
And they told me, just take it. So that one I ended up breaking in half, and I took that for a little while, but I didn't take that one very long because it was just awful. But they did, like I said, 3 different times. They added 3 different drugs, and it just kept me from being me and being able to exercise.
Are you on
It
drugs
was
today?
the only thing that I am on currently, other than a couple of supplements, are Eliquis, and that's it. And that's a blood thinner because I have all the equipment left inside of my body, so that makes for a blood clot / stroke issue. And so they're got me on these Eliquis blood thinners for the rest of my life.
Mm. So how did the medical team, your care team, if you want, respond to you taking cannabis and the medication and seeing that you're getting healthier? What was their attitude towards that over time?
They stuck their head in the sand.
Ah,
They didn't. They denied what I was doing was even possible all the way up until the last week or so before I got my pump turned off. They were never really willing to admit that it was being done and that I was doing it on my own.
mm-hmm.
I was very loud and proud about my cannabis usage. I told them, it helps me with so many things about my sleep, being able to exercise, the pump pain, all of that. And I've asked them what their main concern is. And of course, the first answer I get is it's illegal. Oh, okay, all right. Besides that, at the federal level,
Yeah.
besides that, what's the issue with it? And so they tell me that it's mold. And so I say, okay, well, if that's truly the issue, I think we can work around that with edibles, and oils. We can work around that mold issue. And it's just crickets. They didn't have any rebuttal for it,
Yeah.
but I didn't hear anything else.
Yeah. How much do you smoke a day?
Um, wow, I honestly don't know. If I were going to, not a whole lot. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. It's just occasionally throughout the day, and then it's more so 3 or 4 bong hits before I go to bed. Um, and that's it. During the day, I don't really smoke a whole lot.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I do just in the morning, and then I'd say 3 times throughout the day. Not a whole lot. Not
No.
not a whole lot for what somebody thinks of when they hear that I'm smoking pot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. Have you tried edibles or oils or anything else?
I do edibles. I like brownies. I make those with olive oil, and I add protein powder and oatmeal and everything else I can add to try and make up for the fact that it has gobs of sugar, um, and try to make it healthy.
Yeah.
But olive oil is what I found to be a really good carrier for it, and not be super unhealthy for me. But for the most part, edibles, you need the fat in order to bond it to something, and the fat doesn't go with being healthy.
Do you ever get occasionally get wasted and feel really good?
Yes, yes, that is a fun thing to do every now and then. But my tolerance level is up there so much that it takes a lot to smoke to do that, and that kind of hurts my lungs after a few.
Yeah. Yeah. I've tried capsules. Uh, I take I let me back up a bit here. I kind of microdose
Hmm.
with capsules, and sometimes I'll go a little heavier, and I'll get wasted. But it what people fail to understand that getting high with cannabis is different than getting drunk with alcohol.
Yes,
Uh,
very much so.
I mean, first of all, cannabis is health. We have an endocannabinoid system. We don't have an alcohol system in our body. But, one of the reasons we do this program is to educate people and tell them about the health benefits of cannabis. And I think your story is really, really interesting. Now, looking back, how do you feel about the way the medical system treated you?
I They were awful, and I blindly trusted them, and I will never do that again. I've lost a lot of hope for I'll still go to the doctor if I'm broken,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to look at them for any sort of preventative medication or medicine or anything like that because they just, let's say vitamin C, for example. I had throughout my whole journey, I've been told by my heart team to stop and start vitamin C 3 different times because 3 different doctors read 3 different reports. So after seeing stuff like that firsthand, I figured out they really are guessing, and I can do a better job than that because I know my body better than they do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kyle, what message would you give to people who have health issues and go to the doctor, feel hopeless, and their doctors tell them there's no way forward? You're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. What message would you give to those people?
Do not believe them. Do your own research, and even just don't give up. There's hope. I was dark and hopeless and just sobbing uncontrollably for quite a little bit because I thought all life was lost. And I'm doing better now and in better shape now than I have been any other point in my life. So it's don't give up.
Would you be alive today without cannabis?
Um, I don't know. I don't know because I would say probably not because the sleep was the biggest thing. Your body cannot recover if you're not getting sleep. And my body was just beat to hell.
Hmm.
And I wasn't able to recover like I was truly supposed to because I just could not sleep. I mean, 2 or 3 hours at a time, and then I was up wide awake. And I would go out in the living room because I didn't want to toss and turn and wake my wife up. And after I started the cannabis, I'll go out at night and I'll smoke a little bit of cannabis, and then I'm able to go back to sleep. I don't like having to wake up and get out of the room to go do that, but that's the only way I'm able to come back in and go back to sleep. Otherwise, it's just tossing and turning.
Hmm. Is your wife
And
is your
even
wife more receptive now?
she is more receptive now. Yes, she was on board with it. She does not partake herself. I've tried, but she's not her thing.
Yeah, it isn't with a lot of people, unfortunately. Kyle, you've got a fantastic story, and I think you've got a long life ahead of you. You one day will probably be as old as me, and, and because you're the same age as my son, actually.
Oh
So
wow, okay.
yeah, so I won't say anything about his cannabis use, but we'll leave it at that. I love the fact you've contacted us with your story, and your story is, I think, is an inspiration to people everywhere who listen to it. And I want to thank you for doing this.
Oh, I really appreciate you having me on. It's great to have a place that's truly receptive to hearing what I have to say, and not just somebody stuck next to me somewhere that has to listen.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All the
You
best.
take care. Could I give my email address?
Yeah, sure.
Ringkyle@yahoo.com, just in case anybody has any questions.
Oh, perfect. Good.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you so very much.
Are you looking for quality RSO or have questions about how to take it? Al Morenton with MyFitLife is our new trusted wellness partner, and Al is offering something really special for you, a completely free 30-minute consultation to discuss your specific health challenges. Al will give you honest advice about his cannabis products and wellness supplements that might help your situation. Ready to get real answers? Go to myfitlife.net/cannabis health to schedule your free consultation and mention Cannabis Health Radio to receive 20% off anything you decide is right for you. Thank you for listening to Cannabis Health Radio.
Thanks for tuning in. You can find more information and check out all our past episodes at cannabishealthradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and follow us on social media and our Rumble channel. This podcast is listener supported, so if you've found it helpful, please consider making a donation, big or small, right on our site. And if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them. Leaving a quick review also helps others discover us. We really appreciate you being here. Thanks again.